Hello, everyone. Welcome to Golden Girls, Silver Bells, and Crystal Crones Real Wealth for Women. We're going to be talking today about how to attract real wealth into your life. So let's go ahead and share the screen again. There we go. Fabulous. Okay. So I want to start off by saying that this was a channeled wisdom. This came to me right before I went to bed. I asked the question, how can I attract real wealth? And I got this message first thing when I woke up from, I would say, Venus / Oshun, Freya, whoever you want to call her, Aphrodite. She goes by many, many names. You might be wondering why the goddess of love is the best person to teach us about wealth. But I want to remind you that she is also the goddess of attraction, passion, and creation. And to create anything, we need resources, right? And so this is really about thinking about wealth from a much broader perspective than you might normally think of wealth. So when I say wealth, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Somebody come off of mute and just call something out. What do you think of when I say wealth?
Excess money.
Money, right? Absolutely. That's the first thing that we think of. So that's our starting point here. I also want to say, because this is a channel transmission, there will be times when I'm looking over here and literally just reading off what was channeled to me, because I don't want to get it wrong. So bear with me if I'm not always looking directly at the camera for this one. Thank you in advance. All right, so here's our agenda for today. We're going to talk about what is real wealth, and more importantly, what it is not. We're going to talk about how our entire planet got it twisted and what we can do about that, how we can untwist it and start attracting and enhancing real wealth for ourselves and for others. All right, let's go. So, question on the table: what is real wealth? And how did we lose touch with real value? So wealth, like value, is at its base a psychological concept. It's all about care. What we care about, we value. And if we find it useful and helpful and worthy of exchange, then we will exchange for it. Let's let Frankie back in. The more we are willing to offer in exchange for it, the more valuable it becomes. That's how value works. And the more value that we're able to amass, the more wealth we are able to accrue, right? So that's how we become wealthy, is we amass what we find valuable and what is considered valuable by our society. But what happens when something intrinsically valueless, that is not helpful, that is not useful, that is not really intrinsically worthy of anything, becomes the standard of value for an entire global economy? Well, kids, that's what happened to us. And here's how it all went down. So let's start with what real wealth is not. It's not currency, baby. It's not currency. Currency is just paper. It's numbers on a screen more and more. It's not even paper, right? It's a concept. And the only thing backing it up is our belief in it. And that is starting to erode. So let's look at how this all came to be. So here's the little timeline. A little quick history lesson for you all. At the end of World War II, there was this global economic conference called Bretton Woods. And at the Bretton Woods conference, it was decided that the entire global economy should be tied to the US dollar. Now, at the time, the US dollar was backed up by gold, meaning for every dollar, there was a certain amount of gold in reserve that backed that up. But then, here's what happened. During the Vietnam War, the other global leaders were like, wait a second, you guys are spending a lot of money on something that we don't even agree with. I would like my money back, please. And so they started asking for the gold in exchange for their dollars. Well, this scared the pants off a little old President Nixon. He was like, okay, wait a second. shipping gold around the world is really expensive and difficult. And also, I don't think we have enough gold right now to give everybody their gold. And so he said, wait a second. We must defend the dollar. Okay. And so he put into he put into decree, I guess, he decreed as an emergency measure. This was supposed to be temporary. Okay. This was supposed to be a temporary emergency measure, that the dollar is as good as gold. You don't need gold in exchange for the dollar. We will no longer send you gold in exchange for the dollar. The dollar is as good as it gets. The dollar is the value. So that's kind of a problem, because ever since then, spoiler alert, when they figured out that they could just keep printing money without having the gold to back it up, they just kept doing that and never looked back. And so ever since then, the dollar has been backed by absolutely nothing. And the entire global economy is tied to it. So that's what's called a fiat currency. And spoiler alert number 2, it never ends well. Anytime this has happened in history, when there's a currency that is only backed by a bunch of people saying, it's valuable because I said it's valuable, it doesn't end well. Because here's the thing, it's a confidence game. Okay, you know what a con is? It's a confidence game. And so this is the long con of the fiat currency that we have been, as a globe, using as money. Okay? It only works as long as people have confidence in it and keep paying into the system. So this is specifically a Ponzi scheme. If you know what a Ponzi scheme is, it's basically a long con where you take the money of the people who invested and pay off other investors. So in a regular investment, you take that money that people gave you to invest and you invest it in something. And so then it accrues value because you invested in something that has value, like real estate or the stock market or a farm or whatever it is that you put money into. It accrues value over time. And so then you pay back the investors with that value. In a Ponzi scheme, you take that money and you immediately turn around and give it to somebody else. Now they go, wow, that was a really quick turnaround. And so they invest more for a while. It works for a while until you run out of people, new investors, to give their money. And they start to go, wait a second. I got that initial money back, but I'm not getting any more money. What's going on? And they all ask for their money back at the same time. And then the whole thing collapses. And that's how a Ponzi scheme comes to an end. Well, so here's the problem. When you have a run on the banks, it's basically the same thing. This is what happens when people get wise to the long con and they say, hey, I want my money back. And there's no money to give them back. So here's the good news and the bad news, my friends. The bad news is that the inevitable collapse of the global fiat currency system already happened. It's not just on its way. It already happened in 2008. It is now a reanimated corpse. We gave a bunch of printed money that we made out of nothing to the banks in order to temporarily solve this problem. But that was really just kind of a stay of execution. It is already still dying, and they're basically just squeezing the last lifeblood of cash from this dying system right now. That's what's happening. So eventually what will happen is hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is when inflation gets so out of control that things are changing price day to day. You never know how much more it's going to be tomorrow. And so people start making a run on important stuff that they need. And they start buying it up in bulk. And then you get people saying, wait, we need to ration this. And then you get to the rationing stage. And then you get to the stage where the money is so worthless that people are just using it for Tinder. We've seen it happen all over again and again. When a fiat currency breaks down, we know what it's going to be. That's what's going to happen eventually. And currency is going to be completely useless. So that's the bad news. The good news is that that collapse is going to re-trigger a massive redistribution of wealth all over the globe. When currency and debt are revealed as baseless, the standard of value will be realigned back to goods, services, and money, meaning currency that is backed by actual value. In other words, real wealth. This is especially good news for women because we have by design been kept from succeeding in this system. This system was designed for the patriarchy. It was designed for men to have all of the money. That's how it was designed on purpose. Now, that little by little has changed, but it hasn't changed entirely, and it will never change completely. This system will always be a little bit biased against us. But when this system ends, that means we have the chance to create a whole new system based on real wealth, which we have a very good hand at attracting and using. We are just as good, if not better at it than anybody else, okay? So we are going to be amassing real wealth, and we need to start now and start setting the example of what this could look like. So let's talk about what is real wealth. All right, wealth can, of course, be anything that you find valuable. But for the purposes of this workshop, we're going to be focusing on material wealth, just because it's more easily exchangeable. So, for example, you may find great value in feeling healthy and vibrant, but you can't exactly exchange your own feelings of vibrancy for the goods and services that you need. You can to some degree, but it's a lot harder to do that. And so we're talking about wealth that is useful, helpful, in and of itself, but that is a physical material. So it has some kind of agreed upon value by the world in general. Other people would find it just as valuable as you find it. Does that make sense? All right. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about real wealth. Gold, for example, is a naturally occurring element that is useful, beautiful, and rare. And that's why it was for so long the standard of wealth and value. It's time for us to redefine what we think of as value and what we want to start attracting and sharing with the people that we care about most. But that, of course, is swimming against the current sea. Money, my friends, is a lot like water. Have you noticed this? Have you noticed all the metaphors we use around money and how they're water related? That the cash flows, right? That it's a currency. We deposit money in banks, just like water deposits, sediment in banks along its rivers. Wealth, like water, is meant to flow. It is meant to be in circulation. When we hoard it, when we try to keep it in one spot for too long, it stagnates. It's no good to anyone. And so we need to stop hoarding wealth and put it to good use. When we put it to good use, when we put it to use that aligns with our values, it grows, it accrues. We get more and more and more of it. Okay. Does anyone remember that little song? I don't know, maybe this was just a Quaker thing. We used to sing the song, love is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you end up having more. Yes, thank you, Amy. Amy remembers that one. So yes, love and money and water, they all get more when we give them away according to our values, right? When we love according to our values, when we spend according to our values, we end up with more than we started with. Oops. So, question on the table, are diamonds a girl's best friend? What does real wealth look and feel like to you? This is a question that only you can answer. Like, it doesn't take an expert to look around and see that the current system is neither based on real wealth or in alignment with our values. Water is tied to emotion, And so money is tied to emotion. And so when it's stagnant and when it's not flowing, when it doesn't feel right, it can really mess things up. And so we want to create a healthy flow within and without of wealth. So we need to change the way that we think about wealth and that we attract wealth into our lives. And that starts with defining what real wealth looks and feels like to us. So let's talk about investment for a minute. I was saying that, when you invest in the right things, your money grows. But okay, big disclaimer here. I want to make this really clear. I am not a financial advisor. Okay, I am not going to give you financial advice about where you should be investing your money. That is not what I'm here to do. What I'm here to do is help you fix your money mindset so that you know what is best for you. You know what is in alignment with your values. And you are the only authority that you will need to consult about this. Okay? That's what we're going for here. So we all know that it takes money to make money, and we need to be investing to get more of what we want. With that said, investment, it's not rocket science, you guys. It's just the law of attraction at work. And so it's about where we are putting our care, our value. That is what tells us where we should invest our wealth to get back more of it. So the first step is just to notice and appreciate everything that is already all around you that is in alignment with your values. Notice and appreciate the abundance that surrounds you and the value that you already have in your life. So I want you to take a moment and just literally look around the space where you are, look around this room. Notice everything that is around you that you have amassed and created that is in alignment with your values, that you find valuable. And take a moment to just appreciate it. Ooh, I hope that felt really good. So we always want to start with, I want more like this. So let's take a moment to tell the universe, more like this, please. More like this, please. Now, we're going to think about ways that we could leverage what we already have to get more. How can we leverage the wealth that we already have in order to get more wealth? So we're going to make a list of all the resources that we currently have at our disposal. And then we're going to think of at least one way that we could use one of those things, leverage one of those things to create more. So for example, I've got this backyard here, right? I've got a backyard. I'm very grateful for that backyard. I love my backyard. I could probably be putting my backyard to better use in order to create more of what I want, more wealth for myself and for others. I could, for example, raise rabbits back there, or chickens for eggs, or I could raise quail for quail eggs, right? There's so many things that I could be doing back here, even though it's a very shady backyard and it doesn't have a lot of sunlight, so it's hard to grow stuff back there. I could be growing mushrooms. In fact, I am growing mushrooms right back there right now. I see a bunch of them out there right now. So there's always something that you can do to leverage what you have. So I want you to take a moment and just make a list of the resources that are available to you right now that you could invest to create more wealth. And I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do that. And then I would love for you to come off of mute or pop into the chat and just share an example of one way that you could leverage that to create more wealth. All right. Got about 30 seconds left. All right, my friends, I would love for someone to come off of mute and just share what they came up with. One way that you could leverage one thing that you already have to create more wealth in your life. Who's going to be the brave badass?
I have herb seeds and big sunny windows and grow light. So I could grow herbs at home.
Absolutely, you could. I love that one. I love that. Herbs are real wealth. I feel that too. Someone else want to share something? What could you do?
Mine feels like a bit of a doozy right now. But I'm in one of my favorite cafes, and I was looking around thinking how grateful I am for this type of environment and connections I've made here. And it got me thinking maybe I can use some of those connections to possibly host a community gathering. And it might be more about getting like-minded people together for a cause or something.
Girl, yes.
I
love I love that. Yeah, connections are real wealth. Absolutely, right? Your network is your net worth, right? Like that is a very true statement. Every opportunity that I have ever gotten that was worth anything came from a connection that I already had. Everything. Absolutely. All right, I've got room for one more. If one more person wants to come off mute. Okay, we'll move on then. All right, so now that you're aware of all the resources that already surround you and are already in your life, and you thought about how you could leverage them to make more, how do you decide what to focus on first, right? There's a lot of things that we could invest in. So where are we going to put our investment first? So I want you to ask yourself this question. What will my wealth help to create if I invest it here? So looking at Claire, if she decides to invest her, her resources into growing herbs, what is that going to help create for her? Is that going to increase her, her lifestyle? Like, will it increase her quality of life to have fresh herbs just like growing around her house? Will it change the way she feels when she walks by it and she smells it and she sees it? Will it change the way her food tastes, right? Will it change her willingness to invite other people over? There are all kinds of ways that this could play out. Amy, talking about connections, right? What will that create? It will create community. What could community create? The sky's the limit, right? So looking at, is this in alignment with my values, right? Will this create something that I value? Would I want others to invest their wealth in this way? Is this something that I would give my children the advice to invest this way? Is this something that I would want everyone in the world to invest in? Think about it on the big scale, right? Like you are resident number one in your ideal reality. And so what you do, other people will do. And so as a leader of your community, right, your ideal reality, how do you want to set the example? What are you going to choose to invest in? So for example, let's say you invest your money in the stock market. Now, are you creating anything beyond currency, which we have discussed is in and of itself useless? Are you creating anything beyond currency? What is it that you are creating beyond currency? What corporations are taking that money and using it? How are they using it? What are you choosing to support by investing in this way? If, on the other hand, you invest in productive land, plants, animals, cooperative businesses, things that produce clean energy, right? Globally agreed upon natural wealth like precious metals and stones, what's being created for you and your community by doing that? Are you creating beauty? Are you creating community? Are you creating opportunity? Are you creating food? Are you creating security? What are you creating by investing in this way? And how does it feel to be a part of that? When you think about what's going to be created by your investment, does that feel good to you or not? This is the real question when we think about how we want to invest and grow and leverage our resources to create more wealth. Wealth isn't just about providing for your physical needs, okay? It's about your holistic well-being. It starts with goods that are easily exchangeable. But in the end, it's creating something much bigger. And we need to look at the whole picture before we decide what we're going to do with our precious resources. And your time, by the way, is a precious resource, the most precious resource. It's the only one that you can never get back. You can never earn more time. Your time is the only thing that you really own. So be very, very careful where you decide to invest it. So now we're going to make our order with the universe, right? Our new world order. Yes, I'm a punster. All right, so what kinds of wealth are we calling in? I want you to imagine for a moment a world without currency. What would it be like if all the currency all over the world is revealed to be worthless scraps of paper or just imaginary numbers on screens? What happens then? What becomes valuable? So now I want you to look at that list of resources that you wrote down and think about which of those things is still going to be valuable in that situation. Which of those things is going to be more valuable in that situation? Look around and think about other things that you might not have written down the first time, like canned goods, right? Maybe jewelry. Things that you hadn't necessarily thought of as valuable, but now they might be valuable to somebody else as a means of exchange. So if there's anything that you want to add to that list, just make a list of anything that you have right now that if currency was no longer a thing, you could use to exchange for the things that you need: food, medicine, services, whatever it is. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to add to your list if you have other ideas. I want to say too that connections do count here. So if you know somebody who has a bunch of land, that's a good connection to have in that situation. About 30 more seconds. Dig deep. There's no more money. What do you got? What can you create? All right. Now then, I want you to take another moment to just appreciate everything you just wrote down on that list. Appreciate that you have that you have access to all these resources that you may not even have thought of as valuable, but which suddenly would become very valuable in a different situation. Let's take a moment. All right. Now we're going to make our new world order with the universe. So in a world without currency, where will you invest your wealth and what kind of abundance will you create? We're going to ask the universe specifically, more like this, but we're going to be very clear in which form we'd most like to receive it. So which of these areas do we think is going to be most useful in this situation? And so what do we want to enhance? What do we want to attract more of so that we are prepared for a world without currency? We are ready to have real value in our lives and to exchange real value and create real value in community with others. What are the specific types of abundance that you are wanting to call into your life? Really envision yourself thriving in a world beyond currency. What does that look and feel like to you? Again, I'm going to give us a couple of minutes to just write down everything that comes to mind. And again, focus on the feeling. What does it feel like to thrive in that situation? What does that look and feel like to you? Here we go. All right. And start to kind of come back to me here. And again, take a look at your list and just feel for a moment. Feel what that feels like. All right. So I want you to look at this list And now I'm going to get into the practical side of this. How do we actually magnetize these things? How do we attract them into our lives? And I got, again, some practical tips that were channeled to me. So here they are. Step one is to play this game, which I call That's For Me. It's just a simple 3-word affirmation that you can use whenever you see something, you're out and about, and you see something that you want, that lights you up. Maybe you experience it and you want more of it. Maybe you see it out in the world and you're like, ooh, I wish that was mine. Okay. You're just noticing and appreciating real wealth wherever you find it. And all you got to do is say, that's for me. That's for me. So we're continuing this list that we've made within our vibration by just noticing it and saying, that's for me. Here are some tips on how to do this effectively. So have a daily practice of just noticing and appreciating what you already have and what you've already seen around you that is for you. So this is just it's a muscle that you're building up. Okay. I like to set random, like I set a timer, not a timer, I set an alarm at a couple of different times of day, just to remind me to take a moment to do this. And after a while, I don't need the alarms anymore because it's just become a habit. I just do it automatically. But it's really helpful when you're first learning to do this, to just set an alarm at a time when you can just stop, take a moment. I like first thing in the morning, okay? When I first wake up, I love to just notice, take a moment, notice, appreciate what's already here that I would like more of. This is for me. Yes, please. More of this, please. When something lights you up, just say it out loud. It's like a spell, okay? It matters to say it out loud. That's for me. Yeah, people might think you're weird at first, but then they'll catch on and they'll start playing. And it's really, really fun. It's a great game to share with the people in your life. That's for me. That's for me. The beauty of it is that it doesn't cause the usual resistance. When you see something you want, you say, I want that. That causes this immediate disconnect, because by saying I want that, it means you don't have it. And so it immediately puts you in this lower vibration of like, want, can't have, want, can't have. And that creates conflict and resistance. But when you say that's for me, nobody can argue with that. That's for me. All right. Now, try writing it down or taking a picture of it. Whenever you see something that's for you, just like record the moment, take note of it. I like to put this straight onto social media. I just take a picture of it, say that's for me, put it on social media, right? That way other people can play along and see the game and it's fun. And I'm lighting somebody else up too who likes that and goes, oh yeah, that's for me too. That's for me. I like that. So share. Let them know that it's for you. Now stop thinking in maximums, okay? When we think about what we want, we often think like, okay, I want $100,000 a year, and now we've capped it. That's it. This is the maximum, right? Because that's as far as you can think. That's as much as you could imagine, right? Beyond that, there's resistance. So again, we have this resistance of like, is that too much? Am I asking too much, right? When we think big in terms of numbers, it tends to create resistance. So instead, think about minimums. What do I need to be happy at a minimum? And anything beyond that is gravy. That way, the sky's the limit. We can attract as much as possible, but we know what we need in order to feel happy and secure in our wealth. So if we say, in terms of a minimum, it might be, I don't know, $2,000 every 2 weeks. I'm just throwing that out there. But like, whatever it is that makes you feel like, yeah, that's good. I like that. And then beyond, there's the whole limitless sky. So stop thinking in maximums, start thinking in minimums. And then this is a big one. Stop believing and start knowing. Belief and doubt are the two sides of the same coin. Because as soon as we say, I believe, we're actually confessing that we have doubt. Because if we knew, then there would be no question, right? You don't say, I believe in my cat. What do you mean you believe in your cat? Do you have a cat or not? I believe I have a cat. Do you have a cat? Right? You know you have a cat, or you know you don't, right? You know. There's evidence of this. And so one thing that I like to do is just ask the universe for evidence. Say, today I would like to see evidence of abundance in this area. Today I would like to see evidence of wealth and prosperity in this area. Be specific and ask the universe to show you evidence. And it will. You will see evidence. And then you will know. All right. Next. Surround yourself with real wealth. And again, you define what real wealth means to you. You define what real wealth means to you, and then you surround yourself by it. We are profoundly affected by the energy that we surround ourselves with. And so if we start deliberately seeking out people and situations and stories and places that feel like real wealth to us, that have real wealth, things that are for us, right? That's for me, that's for me. Keep surrounding yourself by those things that are for you. And the more you look for them, the more you will find them. That's why step one is step one. But step two is to deliberately enhance, like, okay, this is for me, so I'm going to spend more time in this environment with these kinds of people. So here's some practical tips around this. Go out into nature daily. Ground by walking barefoot on the earth. Remember that the earth is full of real wealth, okay? The earth has abundant wealth within her. And so just spending time with nature and grounding into the earth will get you closer to real wealth. Display and regularly interact with the wealth that you already have. Okay, so if you have precious stones like crystals, precious metals, if you have something gold, a diamond, put it out there. Okay, don't hide it in a little jewelry box. Display it. Put it someplace that you will see it on a regular basis. Take yourself out on dates to places that you love to be. Take yourself to places that light you up. Places that you go, yeah, this is for me, man. This is for me. Bring yourself to that environment as much as possible. Like Amy, she's in her favorite coffee shop right now, right? Surround yourself by stuff that feels so good and people that feel so good. Seek out people who are already enjoying real wealth, right? Find those people, connect with those people. Seek out and share stories of people who are thriving outside of this system, people who are living off-grid, people who are loving their life, who have found a new way to do things, and it's really, really working for them. Look for those people, spend time with those people, share their stories. Eat more gold and yellow foods. I know this sounds ridiculous, okay? But it really works. This is something Oshun gave to me. Eat more gold and yellow foods. You will attract more gold into your life. Respect and honor golden flowers like dandelions, buttercups, okay? These are natural wealth. They are all around us. And so when we give them proper respect and we don't mow them down and we don't spray them and poison them, this brings more natural wealth into our lives. All right. Now, finally, and of course, most importantly, be the you who has what you want. Act as the wealthiest version of you. Act as that person who already has everything that you are desiring. So as with the key, as with anything that you want to attract, the key is to become a vibrational match by acting as the person that already has it. So picture the you that already has access to all of this real wealth that you are wanting. Envision the reality in which you already are there and thriving, and you are that person. How does this version of you carry herself? How does she dress? How does she spend her time? Who does she interact with? What does she do when she interacts with these people, right? I encourage you, if you haven't already, go watch my video on the game-changing key to manifestation nobody told you about. I go into a lot more depth on how to do this. But meanwhile, here are some specific tips on how to embody this wealthiest version of you. So, number one, carry yourself as the queen you are. When you walk into a room, know that you are worthy of all that you desire. Carry yourself with worthiness. You set the tone for how people will treat you. So if you walk in as the queen, they will treat you as a queen. Wear your good jewelry. Wear it. If you have it, wear it. And give away that costume crap. Okay? If it's fake, you know it's fake. And it doesn't feel the same. Now, it can be fun to wear that stuff every once in a while, but like, you don't need that taking up space in your life. I just gave away, I had a whole box full of costume jewelry. I gave it all to my kids. Gave it all to my kids. I was like, here, play, dress up, have fun. I don't need this anymore. I'm going to wear the good stuff from now on. I'm going to wear the real stuff from now on. Overhaul your wardrobe. Get rid of anything that you think you should be wearing and keep only what makes you look and feel wonderful to you. To you. Okay? Get rid of that stuff that you bought for some ex of yours that he thought you looked good in. Get rid of it. Keep only the stuff that you think you look wonderful and feel wonderful in. Use the good stuff, okay? Use those good dishes. Use the good silver. Stop saving it for company. It's for you. You deserve the good stuff. If you've got good stuff, put it to use. If you've got crappy stuff, get rid of it. Give it away. You don't need that. Create room in your life for wealth to flow in. Respect and honor your silvering hair. If you've got silvers, show them off. Don't cover them up. They are real wealth too. They are knowledge. They represent wisdom. And wisdom is real wealth. So don't forget that. And most importantly, if you walk away with nothing else from today, walk away with this. Show up and shine as the biggest, brightest, sparkliest version of yourself always. Shamelessly, unapologetically. Show up as you. Authentically. That is the best way to attract more of what you want into your life. So let's sum it all up. Real wealth is so much more than just money. It's holistic material support in creating what we're called to create in this world. When, not if, the patriarchy breaks down. We women must be prepared to lead our communities to a better, more sustainable system based not on currency, but on real wealth. Attracting and enhancing real wealth begins with our mindset, shows up as our priorities, and shines through as our authentic selves. Are there any questions on any of this? I know that was a lot. All right, you're all geniuses. I love it. So, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time and attention. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for being willing to step up to lead in an unknown situation. I know that that can be very scary, but I really applaud you in recognizing the need to create real wealth for yourself and for others. And I hope that you will start using these tips and attracting real wealth into your life, and living a life that feels like thriving to you. If you want to make a living that feels like thriving, I want to help you. That's what I'm here to do. So if you are feeling like you want to go beyond this and you'd like to meet up with me, I would love to have a consultation with you. I will put up my little Calendly link here. If you have not taken advantage of this offer, you are welcome to meet up with me before the end of the year. I'm going to stop share here. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm going to stop the recording now.